Welcome to the third episode of Back Issues. Today I want to talk about the effect of comic movies and TV on the comic collecting hobby. This is kind of a tough topic to talk about. I'm probably gonna get a little bit rambly here, but it's tough because it's a double-edged sword, right? There's good things and bad things that the popularity of comic-based or themed movies and TV show has on myself as a comic lover and collector. So what I want to start talking about is one of the biggest effects that the popularity of these shows and movies have is obviously comic collecting as a whole has become more popular. It's more in the public purview. It has gained more people's interest. But the biggest thing is the volatility of the market and how it has on particular books, particularly when rumors or announcements of a character getting a TV series or a movie or an appearance. It causes these spikes, and we've seen that over and over again, and it happens more frequently now as we're getting more of these types of movies and TV shows. And so I understand it's the speculation that if something becomes more popular, it's going to become more valuable, which is really just a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If we as a community decided that a character being in a TV show didn't increase the value, then the value wouldn't increase. It's not like a commodity or a normal commodity or anything like that, where it's something that's being used to build computers or build monuments or anything like that. It's just we decide that it's worth more, therefore it is. But that's just kind of what happens. So I understand that. There are some frustrating bits to it, however. And when I say volatility, I don't mean sort of this up and down. It's typically always things go up. The volatility comes in what is going to be the next thing that goes up? What is going to be the next big thing? Because as soon as that announcement hits, the price goes up. So it's trying to guess, what do you think? Who do you think Disney is going to put into a movie next? And you don't know, and it's hard to beat the announcement to publication and have those books in hand before the price takes effect. It's also a bit unfair in some cases because even rumors, not even a confirmation of, yes, this character is getting a movie. The rumor of a character getting a movie will cause the speculation and the price to jump up. And even if that speculation or that rumor turns out to be false, the prices or the values do not come back down. It's not fair. So let me give you an example. I've mentioned this book before, and I mentioned I was going to bring it up again in this context. Your Werewolf by Night, number 32, the first appearance of Moon Knight. Not many people care about Moon Knight. He's a great character. There are people who do. I love Moon Knight. He's my second favorite Marvel character. But he's not one of those big hitting names. And no one outside the comic community knows about Moon Knight. So when I was searching for this book, because I wanted it because I love the character. It had come out. The time I was looking was recently after it got rumored years ago to have be getting a Netflix series, when that whole Netflix thing, like Daredevil, were starting up and all that, and people were speculating like, oh, Moon Knight would fit right into there, which I agree, he would. So there was all this speculation and rumor that Moon Knight's going to get a Netflix series. So the value jumped up. To my chagrin, as I was looking for the book, not for the value or to flip it, resell it or anything. I just love the character. I wanted the book. But the book was going for like $600 to $800 in the condition I was looking for, and it was just like Moon Knight. It's just, and I say just Moon Knight with all the love in the world, but it's just Moon Knight, and the price of his book was just incredibly insane. It got to the point where I got tired of watching auctions and waiting for the right time, and I just bit the bullet and spent more than I probably wanted to get it. Then the rumors turned out to be false. Surprise, he did not get a Netflix series. But what happened to the value of the book? It stayed flat. If it spikes based on false information, shouldn't it come back down when that false information is proven to be false? No. So you know what happened is that another rumor, and I believe recently confirmed, that Moon Knight is getting a movie, maybe a TV show, out of Disney. So what happens? The price spiked again. No, that is not fair. You don't get twice. You don't get twice. You get to spike once on speculation, and that is it. But that is not the way that the market actually works. I don't understand it. I don't understand why the price didn't come back down after the false rumors, or those rumors didn't become true. That it should have come back down, but it never did. So now it's just up. So here is my surefire plan of how to make a crap ton of money. Pick some character. Some low tier character whose first appearance is fairly cheap. So for example, Nightwatch. No one knows about Nightwatch outside of the comic world. People even inside the comic world, they know the name Nightwatch, may not care about Nightwatch. So his first appearance, this is Web of Spider-Man 97. It's the first appearance of Dr. Trench, who becomes Nightwatch. Number 99 is the first actual Nightwatch. Anyway, this book is cheap, less than $10, easy. Corner the market on Web of Spider-Man number 97, 99, or whatever. Just buy them all up. Go to all the comic stores in the nation, just pull them out of the bins for cheap. Go on eBay, buy them all out, completely corner the market on first appearance of Nightwatch. Step 1. Step 2, not as easy. Own a famous and popular comic news site such as Comic Book Resources or Newsarama. Not the easiest part of the plan, but if you have that, leak out rumors on Nightwatch getting a TV show or a movie every year. Do it today. Oh, rumor, Nightwatch is going to be in something. Price spikes. Never happens. People go like, oh, whatever happened to that Nightwatch rumor? Nothing. But the spike stays. A year from today, announce it again. Oh, it's on. Nightwatch getting a movie, appearing in the next Spider-Man movie. On top of the previous spike, it will spike again. Continue that for 20 years. You will be a millionaire when you cash in your first appearance of Nightwatch for $10,000 each. It's bullcrap, but it's a solid plan. I've done the math. I've done the research. Just get a world-famous comic news site. That's all you got to do. So the other thing, just values in general, aside from those sort of key issues that are reflecting first appearances of characters in movies and TV shows, the values are just going up across the board. With more people being interested in in comic characters and comic collecting now, there's just a bunch of new collectors that want in. They want to get in onto this collecting thing. And how do you kind of break in? It's really hard to break into comic collecting now if you want those really important key issues. So what's happened is a couple things. Some of those key issues of first appearance of characters that aren't necessarily in movies or TV shows, that's what's getting bought up, because they are key issues, they're first appearances, and it's what people that are just getting into the hobby can realistically afford. So for example, something like Amazing Spidey 212. Not that long ago, You could get, actually, I got this issue just out of a normal back issue bin for $10, maybe. It's the first appearance of Hydro Man, is a fairly cheap key issue. And I would say it's probably been less than a year. This book now, in the same condition, would probably go anywhere from $60 to $80. It's Hydro Man. It's just Hydro Man. He's not even in a movie. But the price has gone up because collectors want in, new people want in on this collecting business. And what are they going to get? They're not going to be able to get the first appearance of these major characters, your Spider-Mans and your Iron Mans and Thors and all of that, because the barrier of entry is just so high now because of the overall rise in prices across the board on everything. Specifically on the those main characters that appear in movies, it's just too hard to get into. So they go to other places, other key issues, just to get into the game. And so it causes those to go up because the demand has now gone up. It also explains a little bit of a larger focus and interest in variant covers of modern books coming out with variant covers. There are some people out there that's what they love. They love collecting variant covers. That's not personally for me. That's fine if that's something that other people or you are into. It's just not my cup of tea. But I understand it's a way to get into the collecting hobby when you're doing things like, well, you're just paying cover price for new books, or maybe a bit more of a premium if it's a very limited cover, but you're getting in the game fairly easily and for a reasonable amount of money. Let's do a story time just to give you an example. So when I first, my first big major comic purchase was probably early to mid 2000s. I had just gotten out of college. I was working 3 jobs. I was working at a restaurant. I was doing tutoring work, and I was working at a comic shop. But just out of college, those 3 sort of part-time jobs all at once. I was living on my own. I was living with my girlfriend at the time. She didn't work, so I was supporting the both of us on those 3 jobs. Just to give you an idea of what my life was at that time. I'd been buying maybe some minor stuff here and there, but decided to make my first big major comic purchase, which the big things were in that purchase was Fantastic Four number 48, so it was the first Silver Surfer and Galactus. Tales of Suspense 39, the first Iron Man. And Amazing Spider-Man number 1, second appearance of Spider-Man, first J. Jonah Jameson and Chameleon. Now, what do you think those books cost me? At the time, and then there were some other smaller things in there. There was like a fairly beat up Flash 123 and an old Aquaman, but those were the ones that really had any major value. Though that purchase cost me, that was $3,000. At the time, given my position, as I had mentioned before, $3,000 was a lot of money. It was a major purchase for me, for someone that was just out of school working 3 part-time jobs. So it was a big decision, but it was feasible. It didn't break me, obviously, but it was something I would be able to do. Now, today, imagine someone else in the same position, just out of school, working 3 part-time jobs, supporting themselves and one other, buying these books, buying these specific books at this condition. These books that I bought for $3,000 then are probably worth about 20 grand now. Could you imagine someone just out of school working 3 part-time jobs, supporting 2 people, dropping 20 grand? It would never happen. It's just, aside from them, being independently wealthy or whatever, being inheriting a bunch of money or whatever. But in that case, they're probably not working 3 part-time jobs to stay afloat. It's the barrier to entry is so high now. And why is that? It's because of the popularity of comic movies, comic media, comic mediums outside of the comic books themselves. So it's just really hard to get into. So that's why you're seeing some of these more minor characters, the values of them going up. And that's probably just going to continue to happen. So what happens then? What happens when the value or the price of the first appearance of Hydra Man puts people out of collecting? I don't know. Do you get much lower than the first appearance of Hydra Man? I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not down on the comic movies and TV shows. I love them. As a comic fan, I love that they're coming out. But I have to separate myself from my my just general entertainment loving from my comic collector self. For general Patrick loves fun stuff, it's great. I love watching all these movies and TV shows. It's fun to talk about. The community's bigger. That's great. But strictly from a comic collecting point of view, it's making things more difficult. But then again, there's a good and a bad to that as well. The value of my stuff that I already have is gone way up. And that's good. I'm not in it for the money. I have no plans to sell it. So does that really help me? No. But again, as I talked about in one of my previous videos, having the value higher is good just in case you have to get out or something bad happens or something like that. So that's good. But when it comes to I'm wanting to buy something just because I love the character, I want the book just because I want the book. I don't really care about the value that much. It makes it difficult. And again, it's making it difficult for new people to break into the hobby. And that's kind of frustrating because I do like to see people in the hobby and enjoying it. It's more people to talk to, more people to interact with, and that's a lot of fun. And it's one of the best parts about comic collecting is talking comics. And you can't talk comics unless you have people to talk comics with. So there's good and bad, and the good and the bad is the same. Larger community means more interest, more people to talk about. It also means more demand, more competition for those eBay auctions. As demand goes up, prices go up. So if you're just getting stuff just because you like the character, because you want it, because you love it, it just makes it a harder a hobby to keep up with, just because the cost of it is more. And again, as I said, kind of is a barrier for new people to get in. But on the whole, I love that they're making these movies and TV shows. It's overall a net positive, I think, personally, just because it is so much fun and it does grow the community. But we can't ignore the effect that it has on specifically the hobby of comic collecting. So those are my thoughts on the effect of comic movies and TV on comic collecting. Let me know what you think. What are some weird spikes that you've seen? I mentioned the Werewolf by Night. Eternals was another one. Man, that no one cared about Eternals at all until I started talking about there's going to be Eternals and Celestials, and then Eternals number 1 and 2. 2 is the first appearance of Celestials. They just spiked. The Eternals 1 and 2 are probably just sitting in back issue bins forever until then. Now they're wall books, and they are not cheap. So what are some of those spikes that you've seen? What are some horror stories that you've had? And what are some wins that you've had because of this sort of thing? Let me know in the comments, and like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.